This is Kathy Yaffa with School Spotlight. Today we're at the North Beverly Elementary School, where we're going to take a tour in a few minutes and see some of the interesting things that are going on here. But first, I'm going to ring the doorbell and get buzzed in, and I will meet you in the lobby with the principal, Erin Brown. Now I'm in the lobby here at the North Beverly Elementary School with the principal, Erin Brown. And Erin's going to tell us a little bit about the school, when it was built, how many students and staff they have, and a little bit about what we're going to see today, because obviously we can't see everything. So, Erin.
Thank you. Welcome everyone for joining us here at North Beverly today. North Beverly was built originally in 1956. And it went through a full renovation project in 2002 to the wonderful facility that we have today. We have about 416 students here at North Beverly and approximately 50 staff members. So today we're excited to have you and join us seeing a few of our fun and interesting initiatives here at North Beverly. The first thing you're going to see is our stability ball chairs and use of fidgets in some of our classrooms. And then we're going to also look at iPad use. Technology is very important for our children today, so you get a little glimpse of how they're using iPads in the classroom here at North Beverly. And finally, you'll see our kindergarten students playing on our Boundless Playground, which is a handicap accessible playground, which we feel very fortunate to have through the efforts of the entire community and the parents here at North Beverly. So thank you and welcome.
Well, thank you, Erin. And now we will head on and see what those stability ball chairs are like. I hope I get to use one.
They're a lot of fun.
We'll see you in a minute. Hi, now I'm here in the library at the North Beverly School. And it's a beautiful library, but I'm here with Kathy Barton, who is the occupational therapist at the North Beverly Elementary School. And she's going to tell us a little bit about some of the things that are going on here as initiatives that she has started. But first I have to ask you a question.
Sure.
Being an old person.
Sure.
Tell us exactly what an occupational therapist role is in an elementary school.
So an occupational therapist has a very diverse set of skills, but what we bring to a school system, probably one of the skills where people are most familiar with is sensory processing. It's become quite a trend, and a lot of our families have heard of this skill. And what we do is we help kids to kind of feel better within their own skin and feel comfortable within the school environment. Can they tolerate busy environments, loud environments? Do they have a good awareness of their own bodies in space? Do they have good coordination and good core strength? We also do a lot of work with fine motor skills. So do they have the manual dexterity to use a pencil and scissors in the computer, math manipulatives, things of that nature? Can they get both hands working together? Can they get both hands working together and keep their bodies up good and tall with good core strength, so that their hands are free to do what they need to do? But other things we do are oculomotor skills. So you have small muscles in your hands. You also have small muscles that control your eyes and your eye movements. So we help children with that should they need help in that area. And visual perceptual skills. So can they process what they're seeing visually? And that is a key piece for reading and writing.
Well, it sounds like it's really, as you describe it, an essential part of a child's development and getting the most out of school.
We do. We try and help them become as independent as possible in this setting.
And Beverly has a whole staff of occupational therapists. How many of you are there?
There's roughly 10 of us in the district. There are 3 occupational therapists, OTRs we call ourselves, that are trained to do evaluations, determine who could benefit from our services. We also supervise the occupational therapy assistants across the district. And the occupational therapy assistants in Beverly do provide most of the hands-on therapy services.
Now, we are sitting.
Yes.
Very interesting and fun
Yes.
chairs. So
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about these?
Yes. Well, these are stability chairs. These are lots of fun to sit on. One of the things we have found, and it's really no secret to anybody who's been around a child, is kids like to move. They are a wiggly bunch. And, you know, when we look at them through the developmental spectrum that we have in an elementary school, they are wiggly for all sorts of different reasons. In kindergarten and first grade, they're wiggly just because their attention spans haven't fully developed yet, and they're just by nature a wiggly bunch, and they're exploring and they don't stay in one area for too long. By the time they're in 5th grade, they could be wiggly because they have growing pains and their muscles and bones have grown so much that their body is trying to get reacclimated to itself. And so they're just movement seeking because that's what they're going through. So there's all different reasons why kids are wiggly. There's been a lot of research done out there that shows when you are involved in just sort of almost mindless repetitive movement, that your frontal brain is activated and that you can focus better. Yeah, so it's really great. And while you're sitting here, you don't feel like you're moving right now, but all sorts of little postural muscle adjustments are happening in your body. That triggers your cerebellum, and that activates your frontal brain. And these are all important. Why? Because we want kids to feel good. We want kids to sit up tall so they can see what they're doing at the table. And we also want them to self-regulate. So that means their energy level is in a good place. They're not fidgeting and wiggling all over the place. They're not falling out of their chair. They're not wanting to take a bathroom break, but also that their focus is optimal to receive all of the important academic instruction that's going on throughout the day.
So how do you introduce these into the classroom? Does every classroom have a
Not every classroom has one yet. I had 2 teachers who were very interested and were willing to give it a go. So we had a 3rd grade classroom and a 5th grade classroom start them last year, and I warned them, you know, with every new strategy, especially when you're introducing it to children, it takes a couple of weeks to break in. So just give it a few weeks and then see what happens. And I would very cautiously walk by those 2 classrooms and almost with trepidation see what's going on in there, and I saw a lot of this. You know, everybody's head was up and down, and I just told the teachers just continue to give it some time. And the kids get used to it. The teachers also have kind of an introductory session with the kids to teach them the expectations to use these. And now the feedback I'm getting and the feedback you see in articles that are published from all across the country from classrooms that are trying these chairs is that this has exceeded their expectations, that their kids are more on task, that they are more able to have a tall seated position so their hands are free for their work, so that their eyes are in good position to see the tabletop work. And it also is a little bit of a thermometer for how the class is doing. If everybody's head is up and down, it might be time for a break or time to shift gears because they're really working hard to maintain their self-regulation.
Does every child in those 2 classrooms sit on one of these, or are there some?
Yeah, there is enough for every child to have one. Every child is given the chance to experiment with them, but every child is given the option to say, you know what, I really prefer a more traditional chair. I'll use this maybe sometimes, but not all of the time. They always have that option because it's not for everybody.
So there may be some children for whom
yeah, they just don't care for it. Yeah, but I would say the majority, you know, when can I be in the classroom that has the ball chairs? You know,
yeah. That makes it kind of exciting. Now, do you
yeah.
give any instruction when, let's say, when these balls are first introduced?
Mm-hmm.
Do you give some instruction to the kids as to what they should do and what the best way to?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
Tell me now,
yes. These are great because these balls have little pegs on the bottom, and I'll show you.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, they have little
Like
pegs
space
right on the bottom, and that helps them stay in place. And there are 6 little pegs on the bottom, and we say 6 pegs have to stay on the floor. So that helps the kids understand that which, you know, orientation the ball should be in. They're given a chance to just try them out a little bit. Sometimes we take them into the gym right at the beginning of the year and let them, you know, sit on them, put their bellies on them, bounce to your heart's content, and just kind of get it all out of your system.
So they're not rolling them around.
Exactly, exactly, yes. We always say it's a tool, not a toy, and we need to keep everybody safe. That's always a priority. And that's just kind of revisited, you know, during the first week or so. But it's incredible how quickly the children get used to it and enjoy them and just naturally use them appropriately.
Well, that's great. Now I'm looking at some other things here on the table.
Yeah, so some of the other things that we have here is we also give some fidgets. Fidgets are available 2 more classrooms than just the 3 classrooms that have the ball chairs. You know, even as adults, most people will find that they can concentrate on a task better if they can get rid of some of that extra nervous energy or just that extra motor output. You know, we're all just kind of fidgety. By the time we're adults, we're usually fidgeting with jewelry. As you see, I wear my fidgets. I don't walk around with these, but these are really nice and developmentally appropriate for kids. And it's great while they're listening to instruction, or they're doing reading, or they're having some quiet time, that they can just use these to keep their hands busy so that their eyes, their ears, and their thoughts are available for instruction and what's happening in the classroom. So this is just one strategy. What I have done, and this is always a big hit with the kids, is just a little Home Depot bolt. Can be added onto a pencil, and it's held in place with a pencil grip. And what this does is, a pencil is always in a child's hands during academic work. They can just reach up and fidget with this with their thumb. And it doesn't require them to look around for anything in their classroom. It's just ready at their hand.
And do you also cover the middle and high school?
Yep, the occupational therapists are present in this district, preschool through our post-graduation program. So we're here in every aspect.
Very good.
Yes.
Thanks so much for sharing with us.
Oh, you're welcome, and welcome to North Beverly.
Okay, well, now I'm here talking with Stacie Hall, who is a 5th grade teacher, and she was one of the first teachers, or maybe the first teacher in this building to use stability ball chairs in her class. So I want to get your take on the stability ball chairs.
Well, myself and one of the 3rd grade teachers, Jeff Chruniak, we were talking one day after school about how kids really had a lot of energy and what could we do to help them stay focused in the classroom. We were noticing kids were signing out to use the bathroom quite a bit, getting up and walking around, and we know ourselves when we're sitting in a meeting how you're constantly repositioning and thinking about, oh, I wish I could move around a little bit more. I've used stability balls in my home with my children, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could have stability balls here in the classroom? So Mr. Chruniak and I did a little research. We decided that we would like to try and pilot them, and the PTO was kind enough to fund the money to sponsor, essentially, the stability balls in our classroom. So this is our 2nd year with them.
And, okay, so what difference do you see now before and after?
Well, I've kind of kept my own informal documentation and data, and I'm looking at sign-out logs. The children have to sign out when they leave the room. My sign-outs are down dramatically. I notice that if they are feeling nervous, if they are feeling frustrated, I notice they're bouncing a little bit stronger. We definitely have some guidelines to follow in the classroom. Your body has to maintain contact with the ball chair at all times. The pegs of the chair have to be on the floor at all times. They really try to respect those guidelines, but you do notice that when they're taking a test, they're bouncing just a little bit more. They're rolling back and forth a little bit more, and I do think that that helps them get out some of that energy so that then they can really focus on the task at hand.
And it seems to me, what I was noticing is that they do bounce around a little bit, but it's not disruptive like tapping your pen would be, or knocking your...
Exactly. We have a lot of students that in the past we've put Velcro under the desks, or we've had those elastic bands around their chairs so that they can bounce their feet, and this is just a quiet way for them to release some of that motion, to release some of that pencil tapping, like you said, or I know I'm a ring twirler. I always have my own fidgets, my own way to release that energy so that I can concentrate on what I need to say and what I need to do. And I think that works very similarly for the kids.
And you also use the fidgets. I noticed those on the desks.
The fidgets are to be used by anyone who wants to use them. We know that they are tools and not toys. And when they become a toy, it's not helping us to concentrate anymore. It's distracting us from our task. So we work with them. We set a lot of guidelines at the beginning. We model appropriate use of the fidgets. The kids love to use them, especially during test times. I had a student last year who said, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever been relaxed taking a test. She was on the ball chair and she had a fidget. She was just rolling the fidget ball back and forth as she was writing. It was really remarkable to see.
Well, that's good. Yeah, and I mean, truthfully, you see marketed to executives products to
Sure.
help them relax during tense times.
Absolutely.
So this is, you know, just applying it to the children.
I think we have our own fidgets built in. You know, I carry a pencil around sometimes and I'll twirl it in my hand. It's a very quiet way for me to, you know, move around and get things sorted out as I'm twirling. I'm thinking, what am I going to say next? The kids, it's just another way, it's just another strategy for them to use to help them stay focused, to help them get their thoughts down.
Do you see any improvement in academic performance?
It varies year to year, but I definitely think I see more attention to task and more ability to focus on what they're doing when they have something right there in front of them. For some students, it works better than others. Some students can choose a fidget that's appropriate for them, that they're not going to end up using as a toy, but some students need reminders to choose a better fidget for them. For example, we have a variety of fidgets. Some of them are very intricate, and for my more distractible students, I will ask that they just use more of a squishy ball, less fuss, and that works for them.
Do you have any students who don't want to use this?
Absolutely, absolutely. I tell them that it's a comfort thing. Okay. You need to be comfortable. The more often you're comfortable, the more often you're willing to take a risk, the more often you're willing to try something new. So I never force the stability ball chairs on a student. I have about 3 or 4 students who actually would prefer not to use the stability ball chairs and have asked, do I have to use it? Absolutely not. You use what's comfortable for you, just as you and I would in regular life.
But the majority of them choose them.
Majority definitely choose them. In the beginning, it takes a lot of getting used to. You get a little vertigo, seeing all the little heads bob up and down. But that's only within the first few days because it's new. And then once the newness wears down, they do their own thing, so to speak. You know, a lot of them choose the rocking motion. Some of them do choose to bounce, and some of them just sit on it. So it's great.
Well, that's great. Thanks so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
that with us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Being here today.
Thank you.
Now I'm here with some 5th graders. First they're going to tell us their names. What's your name?
Claire.
Claire. And your name?
Aiden.
Aiden. Okay. Claire and Aiden are going to tell us a little bit about what it's like using stability ball chairs in their classrooms and their feelings about them. Why don't we start with Claire? Okay.
And they were kind of big at first.
They were kind of big?
Yeah.
Think? Yeah. Do you still think they're big for you or no?
Yeah.
You do. But you like them now.
Mhm.
You like them better than the regular chair.
Yeah.
Do you ever use the regular chair in class? Are there some days when you don't feel like sitting on the ball?
No.
No. Okay. So you do like it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it helps you. Do you think it helps you to concentrate more or no?
Kind of, because it keeps me alert. So like, it keeps me it helps me concentrate more because I'm working on trying not to fall off, but I'm also paying attention.
That's a good point. So in other words, you don't doze off a little bit and daydream because you might fall off the chair. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, now let's hear from Aiden. How about you? Did you like the chair right away or no?
I thought it was a little big at first, but once you have it for a while, you kind of get used to it. And it kind of hurt your back a little bit at first because you're not used to not having like something to rest your back on, and it was just weird at first, but I really like them. I got used to them after a while.
Okay, and what is it about them you think that you like?
I like how you can bounce on them, and it really helps you concentrate when you're doing work or a test, and that's pretty much it. It really
You think it
helps
does
you.
help you to concentrate?
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Now I'm here talking with the teacher, Jeff Chruniak.
Yep.
What grade do you teach?
I teach third grade.
Third grade, okay. And he's going to tell us a little bit about the iPad initiative and how it's used in his classroom.
Sure. We've had the iPads in our classroom for about 3 years now, and our main focus is math problem-solving skills as well as vocabulary development.
Okay, and just give me the little layout for it. You don't have one iPad for each child. They work.
Right. We have about 10 per grade level, so that breaks down to about three per class.
Okay.
So we have our own set, but not one per child. Throughout the week, we group the kids. Each child will have a different day with the iPad, and they'll be doing a different activity or assignment.
And what kind of apps do you use on the iPad that coordinate with your lesson?
We have, for vocabulary, we have a comic book app, which the students create their own comic book with, they act out a scene, and they'll add speech bubbles and thought bubbles, and they'll build in their vocabulary words to the actual scene that they took a picture of.
Wow.
They're able to change the background and the filter and the colors and add different sound effects and stuff, which is it's pretty fun. The kids enjoy it.
And they learn the vocabulary as a result.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing that we have the iPads for is another way of assessing. We assess the vocabulary understanding as well as in the math area as well.
Okay, and after they do their comic strip app with the vocabulary words in it, do you review what they've done, or
so there's a couple ways that they get the feedback. Is they can email it directly to me, which a lot of them do. There's another app on the iPad called Dropbox where they'll put it into the Dropbox and it comes up on my computer, so there's no emailing. Some of them enjoy emailing at home to the parents so they can check in and see what's going on. And a few times where the kids are really excited about what they did, they'll want to print it and hang it up as a poster.
Oh, good. That's great. Okay. So you find it very effective in the vocabulary area? I do. I think it's just the engagement. The students are a lot more engaged when it's technology, when it's something different. It's not the paper and pencil. They're using what they see on TV and they're using what their parents use at work, and it's just that much more exciting for them. Yeah, it sounds a lot more exciting than the old vocabulary workbooks.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. And what about math? You have a math app too, right?
We have a math app. There's an app called Show Me, which is really it's a great tool for teachers for assessment and seeing what the students are learning. The way we utilize that is we do small group math, so the students will be with me at the teacher table. Then they'll go off into a center and they'll be able to use the app to work on a problem based on what we just learned for that day. And it's showing me, they're talking through the problem, they're drawing it out on the app, and it's showing me their thought process and the way they verbalize how their thinking is, and it's a great way for me to see it. As opposed to just, here's a paper and pencil, do the test, I'll correct the right answer. It's a way for me to see their thinking and get into their heads a little bit. Oh,
that sounds very effective, because then you can really correct what the misconception is that's leading them.
Absolutely,
to the wrong
absolutely.
If that's the case.
Right, absolutely. And if they do send in the wrong answer, like you just said, I can see where the disconnect was and bring them over, and we'll look at it together and say, hey, this is, everything was right except this little spot here. Let's fix that and be on our way.
Well, that sounds very good.
Yeah.
So you enjoy using the iPad?
I do.
In the classroom. Well, that's great. So thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And we enjoyed being in your classroom today.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm here today with two students who are using an iPad, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
I'm Ryan McFadden. I'm Abbie Kelley.
Okay. So Ryan, you want to tell me a little bit about what we're doing here?
So we're using an app called Show Me, and it helps you, you can record yourself learning and doing a problem like this.
Okay, so
Hi, this is Ryan and this is Abbie, and we're going to solve a problem with 560. And then round this number to the nearest 100. Okay. Rearrange the digits to create the largest number possible. Round that number to the nearest 100. First, we're going to do A.
So it records you and it shows you learning.
Okay, so you're doing a math problem, and you're recording how you're doing the problem. Is that right? I got it? And then what do you do with it after it's all recorded?
You can show it and you can share it. You can like email it and stuff.
And who do you email it to?
Our parents.
Oh, and you email it to your parents? Do you ever email it to your teacher?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. And then what happens? Do they email back to you, or what do they do?
They can. They might be able to.
Yeah? And do they tell you whether you did it right or you did it?
Yeah, they can say like if you did the math problem correct or you.
Or you made a mistake? Okay. Does the app tell you if you made a mistake or no?
No.
No.
It lets you do what you want.
It lets you do what you want, and then will you email it to somebody and they look at it and let you know?
They can like it. Yeah.
Okay. They can like it and they can tell you whether you did it right. All right. I'm here with Lori Johnson, who is a parent who had a student at the North Beverly Elementary School and was very instrumental in the development and building and fundraising for the playground that we just took a look at. A playground that is handicapped accessible. So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that initiative and how it got going.
A group was formed, and we had decided as a group that we were going to go ahead and build a playground, but we wanted to build something special. We wanted something that was for children of all abilities, and not only children of all abilities, but folks of all abilities. Many of us had aging parents. Some of us had parents that were helping us with our children that had their own ability issues. So as we did our research, we decided that something with a ramping system would be something that we would be interested in. We brought in an ADA coordinator, Mr. Dano, who was the ADA coordinator for the City of Beverly at the time. He helped us work through this, and that's how we came up with the Boundless Playground. Something we did not know was, when we asked him to be part of our team, was that there was a fund that he, through the City of Beverly, that he had been writing tickets for folks that park in handicapped spots. Over a number of years, he had been writing tickets for folks that don't have handicap placards. And there was a fund, and nobody had ever asked him about any type of project, and he had been waiting and waiting for a number of years for someone to do some type of special project in the city for handicapped folks, and so we were the lucky ones that actually became the recipient of those funds. So that
all those scofflaws actually helped to build the playground. That's nice to know.
So at the very end of the project, we were about $14,000 away from the end, and he showed up at the final meeting and with a check and said, "You guys are ready to go," and he came and surprised us, and we had no idea. So
that's a very inspiring
It was amazing, amazing. He was an amazing man, and we miss him terribly. What we did was, during the planning process, we consulted not only with the teachers in the school, but the occupational therapists, physical therapists, social workers, so that as we were picking out components and laying them out, what seems like just normal playing components in a playground actually have functions. To do a project such as this was quite costly. It was about $120,000. We gave ourselves 2 years to do the project, and one thing I would like to say is, it was a huge group, and I was the luckiest person in the world, and we were able to fundraise and get this done in 18 months. And but we had a lot of community partners that came together, and I just felt like wherever we turned, folks never said no. So Stop and Shop in North Beverly at the time really came came to our calling, and they helped us an enormous amount.
And I noticed while I was walking on it that it was a nice spongy sort of surface, not like the city playgrounds I remember, which were on concrete, and I had many scabs to prove what happens when you fall on concrete. But this has a nice spongy surface, and you told me that it was a very expensive thing to put in.
Although more expensive, I think it's worth it was definitely worth the expense. Also, what it does is it helps in the winter. If we get a little bit of snow, it warms up in the sun. It'll help melt that snow, so the children will be able to use it if it's a day that they're allowed to go outside. It's also plowable, so if the maintenance decides that they would like to use a snow blower on it, it's strong enough that they can blow it, and that way the children are able to use the structure during the winter. So it's a very durable material. It also is, it's porous, so the rain will seep down into the ground, and it doesn't puddle, and it's not messy like a mulch would be.
Well, we're going to hear a little bit from a teacher who was going to tell us what it was like before the playground, and now what it's like with the playground. So that should be an interesting episode in the playground story. Thanks so much for telling us about the building of it. We have with us the kindergarten teacher, Linda Collins, whose class was just outside and came in from recess. So you want to tell us a little bit about what it was like pre-playground?
Pre-playground. Well, we have a great playground out here because they have hopscotch, and they have a kickball area. They also have a basketball court, but there are some children that wasn't interested to them. So I would always have a child beside me, and I'd try to initiate play with other children, whether it was jump roping or just playing with another ball. Since the playground has come, it's like all the kids love it. I mean, they get to use their imagination. We have superheroes that are going around, running around, hiding, and they involve all the children. We also have our princesses that have their castle, and they can use their imagination, and they're getting exercise, and they have a great time out there.
It looked like they were having a great time out there, and I was impressed with the number of different activities that they were all engaged in. Do you do any, this is really unstructured play when you take them out to the recess, so there isn't any formal activity that they do?
No. We give them guidelines, we set rules for them. For children that might have a hard time involving themselves, we'll find someone that something that interests them. There's a scavenger hunt there. They love doing that, so they can do that with a partner. They can do it with a group of children. Some things they can do as large groups, some with just two. Some they might find things that they like to do by themselves. There's just a little springboard that some of them will just sit there and jump on that for 5 minutes. You know,
and I can't help but be impressed by that nice spongy surface. So you see a difference in the nature of injuries after playing outside as a result of that?
We do. Very minor injuries. I mean, we have a rule that they walk on the structure. Sometimes they do run, but for the most part, they do follow the rules. But when they're running around there, if they fall, they get up. We might tell them to sit down for a while to shake it off, but we haven't had any major injuries out there.
I saw a little one who tumbled on one of the steps coming down and immediately popped up and said, "I'm okay, I'm okay." And it seems like it's also a community resource now, more than just a school resource.
It is. I mean, people are here all the time, and I find that as far as my class, the kindergarten parents come together there too. After school, they'll take their little ones and their kindergartners, and they'll go out there, and they get to know each other. So it's a community. It was a community effort, and it's a community.
Well, it's wonderful to
out
hear.
There.
And thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, now that we have seen so many interesting things, I want to thank you for letting us come and visit you and for providing such interesting staff and interesting programs to see. And we will be continuing with another school on the next episode. So thank you.
Thank you very much for coming, and we hope you come back and see more programs in the future.
Everyone wave. Everybody wave at the camera. Say bye. Bye.